Hi there. I've been watching many YouTube movies for a while now, and especially if you watch gun-related videos like I do, you will notice that many of those videos come from the United States. And many people in the US complain about gun laws. Especially California gun laws, to many in the US, seem like the worst possible. Which inspired me to make a little video about the gun laws here in Belgium. I'm not just gonna complain about Belgian gun laws. Some countries are even worse off than we are. But I will try to tell you what we have to go through to be able to buy a legal gun. Just for those who care. Maybe if you feel bad about legislation in your area, watching this video will make you feel better, realizing that your laws are not so bad after all. First of all, the basic law in Belgium is that we cannot own guns. None. Except if you are a licensed hunter or a licensed recreational shooter. Up to 2006, Belgians had a right to own a gun. You needed a license to buy a handgun or a semi-automatic rifle, but hunting rifles could be bought freely. Processing the application for a firearms license could take anywhere from a few minutes up to a few months, depending on how pro or con private gun ownership the chief of police in your village was. That was until 2006, when an idiot decided to buy a Marlin Model 336 in caliber .30-30 and in a racist attack randomly shot a few colored people in the city of Antwerp. Hans van Themsche was his name. I will put that name in the description below so you can look it up in Wikipedia if you want to know the details. But you know how it goes after a drama like this. First the media have a feast, and before you know it, politicians are stumbling over each other, screaming for stricter gun laws, not bothered by any knowledge whatsoever. And since the event caused a real emotional shockwave across our country, politicians were very determined to pass very strict gun laws. Anyway, we no longer have the right to own firearms unless you are a registered hunter or a shooting sportsman. But even as a registered hunter or sportsman, to apply for a license, we still need to fill in a large file containing, of course, both the identity of buyer and the seller of the gun. But then you still have to add a description of the gun, the brand, type, model, plus a picture. Then fill in forms about how and where you plan on storing the weapon, the reason why you apply for a gun, and add proof of membership of a gun club. Then the manager of the gun club has to declare on paper that it is allowed to shoot that particular weapon on his firing range. And he has to declare on paper that the applier is a regular and good member and never caused any troubles whatsoever. Then all other adult people living in your house, mostly family members, have to sign a declaration that they too agree with your application. Then still you need a declaration of a doctor in which he states that you are suited to handle firearms. Then you still have to add a form in which it is stated that you successfully passed a theoretical test, which is mostly about your knowledge of gun laws, and a practical test, in which a police officer determines if you can handle a firearm safely. To top it off, add a list of firearms that you already have, plus a copy of all the licenses of these firearms. This file is then sent to the governor, who sends it back to the local police, so they can do a thorough background check. Under this new law, it takes about 2 to 6 months to process your application. And oh yeah, each application will cost you about 95 euros in taxes. If you want to buy another gun a few months later, you have to fill in the entire file again, from scratch, and pay again. The only positive note in this new law, that if I apply for, let's say, 15 guns at the same time, I can put these 15 applications in one file, then I have to pay the tax only one time. When I finally get my permit and I can buy the gun, I have to keep my gun in a locked closet. Or if I have 5 or more guns, I have to keep them in a safe. If you have more than 25 weapons, you have to create a gun room with a solid door with alarm system. If the room has a window, put bars in front of the window. I'm only allowed to transport my weapon between home and the firing range or the gun store. Then I have to transport it with a trigger lock in place. I have one of those right here, trigger lock. I have to put the gun like this inside a locked briefcase, and the ammunition also has to be in an again separate locked box, and all this has to be put inside of the closed trunk of my car, so that I can't reach it while driving. As you can see, the Belgian lawmaker has a lot of confidence in his citizens. And now, recently, some politicians proposed to ban all semi-automatic long arms. Why? Because a few months ago, shortly before Christmas 2011, in the city of Liège, some Muslim idiot threw a few grenades and fired at the crowd on a marketplace with an AK, resulting in the death of 4 people and over 100 injured. Because it was immediately clear that the perpetrator, who also shot and killed himself, used illegal weapons, grenades and full auto AKs cannot be owned legally, politicians very shortly after the drama stated that they would start a war on illegal firearms so that a drama like this would never happen again. But soon after making these statements, these politicians probably discovered that especially in a small country like ours that lives off import and export, where every day literally thousands of containers pass through, fighting the illegal firearms trade would mean that they would actually have to go to work to get results. And that it instead would be much easier to once again limit the rights of the good law-abiding citizen. Bottom line, people in the US or in Eastern European countries, or countries anywhere in the world where you still have reasonable rights to own and maybe carry firearms, do not give in to any legislation limiting your rights. The anti-gun crowd will keep on trying to vote anti-gun laws, and they will always say it is for increasing public safety. But do not let your guard down. They are no more interested in public safety than they are in the color of Michael Moore's underwear. They are after your guns, and they will only stop when everybody is disarmed completely. It is not about safety, it's all about control. If you live in the US, join the NRA. If you don't live in the US, start similar organizations and push people to join these before it's too late. Thank you.